Hello everyone, today we'll be doing a teardown on this Nikon Coolpix. Probably some interesting stuff. Went ahead and removed the battery, which I think is dead anyway. Magnetic parts tray. And somehow we gotta find a screwdriver that will work for this. Might have to use a jeweler's. Oh, this might grip. Already off to not a bad start here. That's 3 screws. We can go ahead and remove this little... Use this on a Wiimote and have a quality looking strap. Cool, fun, alright. These are different size screws along here, but this is not going back together. And so I am not concerned. Actually, a large number of screws on this. Most of the visible screws gone. Let's go ahead and see if this starts prying open now. Use your appropriate spudger if you have one. Okay, that's one part off. At some point you start shoving things at the flash gap, though this hasn't been used in a while, so it's probably fine. Kind of interesting how they did the buttons here. It looks like this entire part will come out. Oh. I don't know if that was that color. I don't know if it was supposed to be that color or if someone spilled something on this camera. Anyway, I can take that panel off if we want. Yeah, it's working well. I don't know if it's supposed to be there. It's gross. But yeah, you got little buttons. It's kind of interesting. I haven't seen the high voltage warning, but time to take more screws out, it seems. Okay. Yeah, seriously, did something get spilled in here? Look at this mess. Is that the glue, or is that like soda? Or is this some sort of oil from the camera workings? It's got, you know, the pop-out lens thing. I wonder if maybe there's some sort of oil from that. I don't know at all. We'll keep going, but this is gross. It's everywhere. I think it's more grease than soda. We continue with screws. So many screws. I'm going to actually skip these middle two until I tell if they're necessary to remove or not. Alright, got that flat flex out. This little button assembly comes off. Another flat flex. These flat flexes, for whatever reason, seem to just pull out. I think that's the flash cap. Okay, more of the shell is coming apart. Or could have come apart earlier, that type of thing. I took a screw out down there. I don't know if it does anything. Yeah, there's probably more screws somewhere. I mean, obviously there's these for the motor thing, but let's try what doesn't look too obvious, like part of the motor. Right, I'm stumped, so off with these that comes. This will take the back off of something. Who knows what I'm doing. Okay, we've got part of a lens assembly. That's not helping any, actually. The door and its tiny spring is off. I just made a thing fall out. Oops. Here's more of the lens. It's actually showing that the lens has nothing to do with the main PCB here, so that's an oopsies. Ha, I just found a screw. Look at that. Under these wires is a tiny screw. It doesn't seem to do anything though. I broke some of the plastic off. Still not making progress. I don't want to go to the internet. That's cheating. We've got part of a plastic tripod screw. Quality. Flash cap found. Should be safe. So we got the camera part. To a degree. But we got it apart. So I can give some tips. First off, modern digital cameras are complicated. So if you want to get the main board out, you need to desolder the battery leads, and then you get that part off, and that probably lets you find some screws to take things apart. I've got the lens assembly. Here's part of it. This used to go in here, right? Okay, very good. You know, there's that movement we're all used to on the front of those little pop-out cameras. And the inner workings. Here's, I think, the main focusing element. I don't know what the springy dark thing is on top, but there's a tiny glass lens in here. So that's kind of cool. Looks like it's got like an infrared filter type thing, maybe. There's this larger motor. It controls a gearbox that used to be here. There's some gears. So here's what the actual chip is. We'll look at it in a second. It's actually got its own little tiny motor for something. I don't know where this gear came from. It used to go somewhere, I'm sure. Quite a populated flat flex. So this part can actually move. Lost one of the gears. But it actually moves, so that's kind of cool. Let's take the motor out. Must be a little Hall effect sensor or something similar tacked onto here. I think it's actually, well, this came off. Yeah, so that ends up making this a really nice macro lens. Look at that. It's magnification. Let's blue tack it on there, and it might stay. We've entered an art-filled world. Go deep into the depths of macro. course, now I realize that there was, in fact, a element on this part that I've removed this from that probably helped it quite a bit on the pincushiony stuff there. The things you learn. Take a look at this lens. A less useful macro lens. Right, so that one's not particularly useful. It's springy. You can actually find the focal distance by, well, by doing a lot of math, but this is where it actually focuses. You can't see it, but that tiny light is actually the lamp I have overhead focused, so that's something. I can't find most of the parts to this board, but I can show you what I did kind of find out. We can actually just assume that this Sanyo is a custom CPU and processor or anything for the camera. It's probably some sort of memory or RAM for the processor, maybe. Really can't tell off the numbers. I'm not too concerned with these parts, but this part is actually a 12-bit CCD signal processor, so that actually talks directly to the camera sensor and, you know, makes it understandable for a controller or anything else. Closer from the board, that's our signal processor, and you can see where the battery contacts go. This jumps us over to this board there. Got some small little parts. I don't know what this little glass thing is. I think it's a fuse. I didn't look up the part number, but it's weird looking. This part is actually real interesting. So it's basically meant for digital cameras, and they're like, and other stuff that you could possibly want this for. But basically the part is a WM8941, which is a monocodec, apparently. It's a high quality monocodec, which basically it supports a mic input and then various types of headphones in and out, understanding the digital audio path, kind of directing it any way you want for various things, such as recording the camera, as well as the outputs. And it also has a frame buffer type video, has a weird video buffer in it that allows it to do some weird syncing, whatever else, and sort of for driving the output. So basically it's designed just for digital cameras for the exact purpose of take mic, play speaker, have headphones / output to TV, understand video signal, and allow it to go to TV. Yay. Was I breaking this little flat flux connector? Also, the proper way to do these flat flux connectors is they actually flip up and then that connector slides in and out. It's nice. Yeah, I thought they just pulled out, but I mean, I guess they do technically just pull out, but they do lift up if you want to do it correctly. The other side's really boring. Here's this little part that looks pretty much almost just like silicon die only, but it might have actually had a plastic case. I broke it a little bit while working on stuff. I can't figure out a data sheet on it. It's hard to read. But here's our, our flash with its little probably transformer or choke there. Or is this the transformer? Either way, generates high voltage, probably up to around the 300 volts of this flash cap. Oh, focus. You're having such a day. Rubicon flash cap, 300 volts, 85 microfarad. Basically, if this were charged, doing that would hurt like crazy, but I've done that type of thing before, so watch the previous video. It's fun. Don't mess with cameras unless you know what you're doing. Oh, and then pretty much taking up the entire the entirety of the side is the SD card slot. I mean, the USB connector is barely noticeable compared to the entire SD card slot. Of course, got the tiny little microphone, make a little spy thing, as well as a baby speaker. I'm sure they work. You can see on this part, which is the buttons interface board. Is that an LED? It might be. But they've got the little tactile dome buttons on flat flex, and then there's some sort of white, essentially silkscreen, but I don't know if it's silkscreen. Might not be. Over top, you got some text, but this is entirely done on flat flex. And again, here's more of that lovely oil or whatever. Here's the battery. If I deem that it's no good, maybe pyro_main_X69 will burn it or something, but I gotta test to see if it lives, but it might have actually suffered, it's not bulging, but it might have suffered some horrible consequences, because this pretty much is DOA. Like, when I got it, there was like no reviving it. So that oil probably shorted something relatively important. I don't know what else to show. I'm not like a optical expert, and tiny stuff's a bit complicated. But, you know, basically there's just tiny little motors and electromagnets everywhere that cause this entire assembly to do different things when prompted in certain other ways. What more do you want from me? I mean, I gotta try to do something with these tiny motors at some point. It's just so cute. I mean, just look how cute that tiny little motor is. I gotta do something with it. I mean, you know, compare to that to this giant, massive motor here. Excitement. It's actually got leads you could solder to humanely. This one, oh, actually, oh, it's a stepper motor. It's got 4 poles. Or, you know, 4 connections, whatever. Come on, you know what I mean, 3 pole. Probably 3 pole with common, I would hope so. A stepper motor, and yeah, there was at one point, this is probably only part of it, a Hall effect sensor on the side of one of these coils or something. Ugh, the LCD, it's so dirty. Ugh. Cool to me, but very weird. Here's the Ccd board. But if we zoom out of here, we'll see that there's this little thing over here. What in the world could that be? Well, it's the real-time clock battery soldered on to little, you know, it's got the tabs. I'm assuming it comes with the factory with the tabs on it. And it's just soldered onto this part of the flex that's part of the Ccd assembly that goes over to the camera module. It's crazy weird. I've never seen something silly like that. It's so strange. Probably could figure out what CCD this is, but it's 10 megapixels. It's actually not a bad CCD for what it's worth, but the camera was at this point beyond reasonable repair. Beyond reasonable repair to me beforehand too. And I really don't know if there's an intelligent way to drive CCDs, but maybe I could put this part online. Although I did lose the rubber part to it, but I don't know. I think CCDs and stuff are really cool, so it's just nice to have. The back's interesting. It's got this little blobbiness to it. I don't know. Oh, also there's a tiny little driver of some kind on it. It might actually be local power regulation, or it'd be really weird. No, it looks like it goes to it. It'd be really funny if they had like a real-time clock chip on there, but yeah, probably local power regulation. 6-pin chip with F34 marked on it. Tiny caps. I think the blacks are ferrite beads, and this is just a capacitor. These have these fun, very densely populated flat flex connectors. Very nice. Wish I had a microscope so we could try to look at the subpixels, basically see the probably Bayer pattern, but it's pretty enough as is. Top button assembly, actually pretty reflective. We can see our magnifying glasses light here. So how this works is there's actually a little notch in it that grabs the top little lever, and you push this back and forth. This mechanism actually is slightly broken. Feels a bit better now that I've screwed with it, but it was pretty shot before. And then the other buttons, as you can expect, you just push on it and it pushes through. Got little light guides essentially built in. And then, oh, well, there goes the button. Oh, I broke it, I think. More parts broken. And there were actually little light guides in these 2 spots here. There was just little tiny, couldn't find them if I wanted to, little tiny pieces of clear plastic that were just stuck in there. Oh, and then of course, pushing the button pushes this little post through. And if you see on the top board, here's this little button that actually clicks twice. So you got the soft touch and then the further touch for the focus, whatever else. Here's where that, just a little lever. It's very tiny. I've never seen one this small, actually. Lever for the zoom. You can toggle back and forth. And then top button and then LED. Oh, I was playing around. I didn't realize there's a chip on top. Get rid of our tape for our protection. Another chip over here, too. Quite interesting little setup. So it'd be fun to make this flash setup work. Just kind of remove the entire module and make a little portable taser. But that's, other people have done such a thing. Leave it to the experts. Well, this has been a fun teardown, but just a friendly tip for everyone. If you're really starting out, I don't recommend taking apart digital cameras because you'll end up doing this. Unless you want to, but you know, mainly got to be careful about that flash cap. Definitely be safe in how you discharge it. Although, you know, I'm pretty sure that a flash cap cannot kill you, but it certainly wakes you up at 2 a.m. Like the previous one was shot at with a Kodak 1 megapixel camera. So it's just been a kind of a look inside one, just, you know, check out their other fun stuff. It's just, nice for lenses to recover if you want to make like a little phone lens, but some of these elements are just useless. Like this front element by itself is just a useless lens, I think, for phone use. Oh, I killed it again. These little ones are actually really nice. I don't remember if this one works. I think these combine. And this module is actually pretty useless. I think it's the focusing. But you have to be wary, because a lot of these lenses by themselves are actually really useful. But your phone lens has its, you know, own optical path similar to this. That actually have, modern phones at least have, it's probably at least one element, up and down, probably two or more. So, you know, they have their own optical path. You don't necessarily need all of these parts to change it. You just need some sort of magnifying glass essentially to bring the focus back to allow it to work. Oh, here's most of the screws and stuff. These little plastic bits with the light post talking about. Yeah, there was glue in that too. There you go. That is the camera teardown. I'm going to sacrifice this blue tack. I'm going to set it on that goop. Oh, I got the speaker in there. I'm going to set it on that goop. And we're going to see what happens later. I'm not too worried. It can do whatever it wants. As always, you guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this end, I give you a thumbs up. You, of course, can thumbs up this video, comment on it, ask me questions, and yell at me or something for missing the obvious, remove the battery contacts. Who knows? I don't care. Have fun. Just enjoy. That's all I want. Everyone should be happy. Be happy in your own way. Subscribe for more.